starting a lesson. It's based on the National Spanish Heritage Month that runs from September 15th through October 15th. So I'm hoping that our focus is going to kind of bring some things that are going on currently, but also things that have kind of been going on for a very long time. Just to be able to make that connection.
Be in Santa Clara.
Yeah, we'll be all over that place. And we're gonna enforce the law. So I think people should not be coming to the Super Bowl unless they're law-abiding Americans who love this country.
Well, joining me now is our friend Dominic Patton, executive editor for Deadline Hollywood. So, Dominic, you report ICE agents will be on the ground to harass the halftime show, and then we just heard Secretary Noem say, yeah, agents are going to be there. What is fueling her position, and what is the reaction to her threats?
Ultimately, I think it comes down to three things from the MAGA world and the Department of Homeland Security Secretary. One, clearly a hatred of capitalism, because Bad Bunny is a big star and he's going to make a lot of money for the NFL, because a lot of people are going to watch his halftime show at the Super Bowl. Secondly, ignorance. They might want to remember that Puerto Rico is part of America. And secondly, that Bad Bunny is one of the most popular artists in the entire world. And third, I think there's a little bit of a loser syndrome. You know, Bad Bunny recently, after completing a 40-show residency in Puerto Rico, said that he wasn't going to bring his world tour to the United States because he was worried that ICE agents would try to arrest some of his fans and swarm the arenas he was in. That clearly got under the skin of the Trump administration for someone flipping them the bird, essentially. And then the NFL, which it turns out is too big to bully. They and Jay-Z, who put on the halftime show with his Rock Nation, well, to quote a Jay-Z song, "Dirt Off My Shoulders," decided that they weren't going to be told what to do. MAGA, as you saw there with the Homeland Security Secretary, has determined that only law-abiding real Americans can come to the Super Bowl. They clearly don't know who watched the Super Bowl. It's everyone. It's a bad move. And interestingly, Alex, the White House, the press secretary of the White House said, actually, we don't have any plans for ICE people to be at the Super Bowl any more than we would at any other event. So a little bit of a kneecapping there.
So the NFL has not responded to the online outrage. Noem did have a harsh message. Listen to this.
They suck and we'll win and God will bless us and we'll stand and be proud of ourselves at the end of the day, and they won't be able to sleep at night because they don't know what they believe and they're so weak.
Yeah, they're so weak. So will the controversy impact viewership, do you think, of the halftime show next year? And what message is the NFL sending choosing Bad Bunny? Do you think the NFL anticipated the backlash?
I think the NFL don't care, Alex. The NFL are the NFL. They're the biggest game in town, literally and figuratively. I think this idea that the NFL are weak, well, people who talk like that may be showing their own weakness. The NFL, Donald Trump and MAGA have tried to break the NFL a number of times. Sometimes they've succeeded in crushing a bone or two. But in this case, and I think it's important to remember, this isn't just the NFL. This is Jay-Z and his Rock Nation, and I believe Apple Music support the NFL halftime Super Bowl show. They've decided they want the biggest artists. Big Bunny is one of the biggest artists. And being that Taylor Swift is an unlikely participant this year, for nothing else than she's marrying a major NFL player, Bad Bunny is a great decision. But let's also not be naive. The NFL and Jay-Z knew exactly what they were doing. They decided to poke the paper bear, and they did a very good job at it.
Sure did. As did you, coming on the show as always, my friend. Thank you so much, Dominic Patton.
Okay. So we're gonna have a little bit of a think tank, 10-minute think tank is what I like to call it. And I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts, feelings after watching and listening to this current event that is currently unfolding? I'm going to give you guys a sticky, you can jot down notes, and then we'll discuss it. All right. Alright, if you're still writing, you can continue to do so, but for those of you who have written down some of your thoughts or feelings about this, who would like to share? Like, what are some of your thoughts or feelings on this situation that's happening.
I feel a little upset because Trump supporters are being like racist toward Biden just because he's Hispanic and threatening and scaring other people about ICE.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know that that's something that, you know, we were kind of created originally, you know, for having everybody take and come here, you know, like people started coming over to America to grow and to be able to follow their dreams, and it definitely seems like, you know, having people kind of hunting down other people because they're enjoying something is definitely a little upsetting, definitely. Anybody else?
I think the controversy around the whole thing is gonna flourish to the media and make the performance very big. It's gonna show. I mean, I don't know what that really is gonna do in the performance, but most likely it's gonna be a message. I think, and it's gonna be posted around the media. It's gonna be very big.
Definitely.
I'm not saying a riot, but I think it's gonna push maybe a protest or a message.
It definitely might. I like your thought process. It definitely might. I mean, I remember, I'm dating myself obviously because I'm old, but back in the 80s, they had this group of moms that wanted to take and censor certain music out there. And so they would plaster these big stickers over like the pictures on the covers of the album, or you had to be a certain age to take and purchase it at a store. And what ended up happening was one of the bands that was censored, actually he was excited and he's like, yeah, because that's gonna make people definitely want to be more interested. So if anything, I feel like what you're saying, it's gonna kind of backfire, right? It's definitely bringing more attention to the issue than anything. Anybody else want to share? Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
I think it's funny also because I don't really see. I think Bad Bunny got interviewed one time about the halftime show. He basically said, "America, you have 4 months to learn what I'm going to say in the halftime show." And I'm like, that's kind of crazy to say. That's interesting.
I agree, and like you said, like what is going to be his message, you know, like, so I'm sure a lot of people are definitely, you know, anticipating it to
I think
be.
a lot of people are going to tune into that.
Alright, so why am I having you do all this? Why are we talking about Bad Bunny and the current events with ICE, and what is ICE? Does anybody know? Besides stuff you put in a drink, so it's nice and
Deportation.
cold. Yes, it is. It's about deportation and how people are, you know, being targeted due to their citizenship status. And it's a scary time for some people. I actually have a student in AWP who their father actually was deported this past spring. So it's been a very trying time, and it's even happening here in Connecticut, which is scary. You know, you kind of think it's bigger cities, but no, it's here. So we're going to be actually reading a poem called "Imagine the Angels Look Red," and it's by a gentleman named Martin Espada. I know you guys may have kind of delved into him a little bit yesterday. So he's a poet, professor, essayist, translator, editor, and attorney. Okay, he's also a Puerto Rican American poet. Okay, his current job is he's a professor at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst, so literally right over the border, and he teaches poetry there. And Puerto Rico, the tie-in with Bad Bunny there, has frequently been featured as a theme in his poems. So what's unique about Puerto Rico versus like Mexico, do you think? Or
It's a territory. It's not.
right. We're Puerto Rico's part of us. Mexico isn't. So it is kind of funny that they are, trying to make him an example when their territory is a part of the United States. So he has published 17 books of poems, essays, translations, and edited volumes. Okay, just a little more background knowledge. So after studying history at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I read that that was the only school that would accept him at the time due to him being Hispanic and because his grades weren't that great. Crazy, huh? And now he's this big person, But he earned his law degree from Northeastern University. And for many years, he was a tenant lawyer and legal advocate. So I understand, I don't know if it was in this class, but you guys discussed maybe what tenant lawyer is. What is a tenant? Does anybody know that word? Or what that means? Have you heard the word? No. Okay, so a tenant lawyer is like somebody who is renting an apartment or renting a space. And as a legal advocate, do you guys know what an advocate is? No? Never heard the word? So if you advocate for something, it's you are like fighting for your rights to be listened to or to be followed. So knowing that he was a tenant lawyer and a legal advocate, it kind of will be able to have our focus be on how or what type of theme the poem will be about. So he teaches poetry and English at the University of Massachusetts. He's dedicated much of his career to the pursuit of social justice, including fighting for Latino rights and reclaiming the historical record. Through his poetry, he speaks for the socially, economically, and racially marginalized individuals who have no voice. Who do you think he's fighting for? Who do you think he'd be fighting for?
For Hispanics?
Yeah, for Hispanics. Good. Why do you think he'd be fighting for Hispanics? What happens to Hispanics?
They get looked down upon.
They do. So, this poem, Imagine the Angels of Bread, it uses powerful and emotionally charged imagery, to protest injustice and imagine revolutionary social change. The poem's narrative is driven by what is called the reversal of power. And the reversal of power refers to shifting from feeling powerless and reactive to feeling in control and empowered. Okay? So instead, he is putting the communities of color in control instead of how real life kind of plays out. All right. So I need to get you a copy of the slides, so I apologize. I will take and give those to you, but we're gonna go over the words right now, so that way you have a little bit more understanding when you hear those words within his poetry. So, again, the vocabulary that you may come across is squatters. Have you ever heard of that term before? A squatter?
Squatters' right. Squatters' rights.
What are squatters' rights? Do you know?
You stay in the house for 3 months, you can claim it.
Right. Right. And surprisingly, there was this case out in Los Angeles, California, not too long ago, where there was like a $6.3 million mansion, just totally like abandoned.
Saw that.
And so this person went in and made it kind of his own house, right? And the owner ended up finding out that was happening and was very upset that this guy had moved in and, was trying to get him out, and they're like, yeah, no, he has every right to be in there. So it's kind of ironic. So squatting is the act of occupying a property without the owner's permission. Okay? So it's a negative connotation that would be used in this poem. Okay? And it's key to appreciating the role reversal in the line, "This is the year that squatters evict landlords." What does that mean? Who's a landlord?
You don't know if you're in a complex.
You're right. So what would that mean if the squatters are evicting the landlords?
Oh, you're good, bro.
What does that mean?
They kick out the landlords.
They do, they kick them out. So they're saying that the illegal aliens, right, that's always such a weird word to me, or undocumented immigrant refers to a person residing in a country without legal authorization. So it's those people who are kind of taking over and evicting the landlords so that they have ownership rights. Okay? So I also found that there's many illegal apartments that are created to help people who are undocumented. However, sometimes they're not always the greatest or safest situations. So for instance, you see this man, he's super tall. The landlord created, a space between the apartment floors in his apartment building. So, like if you walk up your stairs and you have like that space, he created little rooms in there for this person to be able to live in. So he was off the streets, he was safe, he had warmth, water, all the amenities that you need to have, but it wasn't very safe. So there's people trying to do good, it's not always in a safe way. Okay, deport. To expel a person from a country. So in the poem, the reversal of power is emphasized when refugees deport judges. So instead, when they go in front of immigration court, the immigrants are saying, no, you leave, you go. Originally, it's the other way around. A big hearing. Executioners. Have you heard that word before? Executioner. Okay, so they're people who carry out a death sentence, and that term underscores the historical and brutal violence that Espada imagines being redeemed. Okay, and I found it kind of ironic that executioners wore masks and dark clothing. And ICE agents do the same. Kinda scary how that kind of connects there. Or maybe it's just me, but. Okay, desecrated. This might be a word that you're not familiar with, but it means to treat a sacred or respected place or thing with violent disrespect. Okay, Espada in his poem uses the image of desecrated headstones to emphasize the profound disrespect shown to the memory of the dead. So if you see here, there's people that are knocking over gravestones. That's just like, I don't know, just so disrespectful. And I know that there's a lot of times in like Jewish cemeteries that people have gone in and done graffiti, have knocked over the headstones, have done atrocious things, and it's just so disrespectful. Humiliated, okay, made to feel ashamed or foolish. Have any of you ever been humiliated before? No? That's good. So this poem's final stanza includes the image of every humiliated mouth being filled with the angels of bread, linking shame with hunger. What do you think angels of bread means? That's the name of the poem. If it's linking shame with hunger. He's out like a light there, huh? I know, it's boring, I apologize. Okay, well, we'll find out. You're not even sleeping? Okay. So, manacles. You ever heard of that before? Ever seen them? Okay. They bind a person's hands or ankles. So if you've ever seen someone walking in prison that has their ankles, they can't walk very well, and of course their hands are, bound as well in potentially like handcuffs or manacles. And Espada, he uses manacles as a symbol of bondage and slavery, which is reversed by the vision of hands without manacles. Okay, so instead of taking and binding and not allowing freedom, they kind of break that chain. Okay, that's what he's trying to say when he gets to that verse in his poem. Bedlam. It's a scene of uproar and confusion. Have you ever watched a prison takeover, like on some of those shows that are on TV? That's what bedlam is like, or protest. Okay, some of the protests that were going on during COVID, you would see those takeovers. You guys think street takeovers with cars might be a bedlam situation? Yeah, it could be, okay? So in the poem though, it refers to the chaos of the cannery, okay, which he talks about in his Imagine the Angels of Bread, which is contrasted with the just resolution of the cannery workers owning it. Alright, conquerors. You know any great conquerors? No? Okay, there are people who gain control by winning a war. Who do you think's gonna conquer our current war right now here in the United States with ICE and immigration? What do you think? Okay. The poem's speaker reframes these figures, saying they are not many-legged gods and can be defeated. so who are the conquerors in his poem? Are they the people in charge, or are they the people that are fighting for their rights and their freedom? Excellent. Barbed wire, I'm sure you all know what that is, but I just wanted to kind of reiterate it. So it's a type of steel fencing wire that has sharp points or edges, and it's often associated with containment and imprisonment. Where else might you see barbed wire? Besides at a jail? A what? Yes, at a border. Keep out or keep in. You think about a farm. If you live near a farm, some dairy farms have barbed wire fences around the border. They're keeping those cows in, but they're trying to keep out coyotes or other animals of prey. Okay? Try like a deterrent. What about this word, extermination camps? Have you ever heard that word before? Where have you heard it?
History.
History class. What did it refer to? If you know about the new controversy that's happening on Main Street with egg and cheese, with the tattoo that just happened yesterday? No? Oh, we'll have to look it up after. There's a tattoo of something that kind of goes along with that, extermination camps. Now he's gonna feel like I need to look at this.
No, this isn't here. It's in sound, but it doesn't mean order.
Okay, a lot of times the extermination camps were used in conjunction with Hitler.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right. So when people hear that word, a lot of time it invokes a lot of different visual imagery in their head. Okay, so it's a center where victims are killed on a mass scale, referring to a specific historical atrocity. Revolution. So if you were in Mr. Mastery's class, I don't know if you learned about the American Revolutionary War. Okay, there's been other ones, more current, Russia and Ukraine. Okay, that's a revolutionary war. And it's a forcible overthrow of a government or social order to favor a new system. Okay, the poem paints a picture of metaphorical revolution where the powerless overthrow their oppressors. All right, and here's the last word, undertow. Have you ever heard of that word, undertow? If you're near like maybe a boat launch or maybe at a beach, sometimes they talk about the undertow. And to be careful when the tides are coming. So this term is used to describe the perilous journey of immigrants crossing the border, evoking a powerful sense of danger and struggle. And in the poem, the word undertow means it's an underlying mood or feeling. And I know you can't see it. I'm hoping that if I do this, it will. So that's what's at the borders. Property of U.S. government. Do not trespass. International boundary. But yet, when people were coming, like my great-grandparents, okay, I'm only third generation here, okay? My great-grandparents came from Poland. They came because of this. Give Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming share. Send these, the homeless tempest, tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. It's a lot different. It's a lot different. Or not, I feel like that's not a thing anymore. Alright, so tomorrow we're going to review the vocabulary and then we will read the poem. Yay! I know you're all excited. No. Alright, any questions, any comments, anything that you can kind of think of? Do you guys want to look up that egg and cheese thing that I was talking about? Yeah. Yeah, I happened to see this yesterday and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so weird. Okay, so a Willimantic restaurant owner said a simple mistake has turned into a viral firestorm with hundreds of vicious comments, emails, and calls, including threats. So, Egg and Cheese owner Hannah Dupuy said she hired someone online in Manchester to make a custom billboard by hand to promote her growing business. When the artist was done, he took a picture of himself holding the billboard and sent it to her for her approval. She thought the new sign looked great and posted that exact picture. But she said she didn't realize the artist had pictures of a tattoo of the SS bolts. Okay? If you don't know what those look like, I'll show you after. So, according to the Anti-Defamation League, SS bolts represented the police state of Nazi Germany during World War II. Today, the ADL said they're a white supremacist and neo-Nazi symbol. I didn't realize that, she said. I didn't look at the tattoos. I didn't look at the arm. She was more focused on her sign, okay? But the damage was done. And after taking down the photo, Egg and Cheese posted an apology. Okay, so let me see if I can find the picture of the.
In, bro. Never that bad.
When does that?
What's that, honey?
When did all this happen?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Or I mean, I think it was.
You
Let's
think
see.
it was?
No, I know it was yesterday. I think it happened over the weekend, but it was actually brought to the attention yesterday in the news.
Oh wow.
Okay, oops. Yeah. So she just focused on her sign. And everybody else focused on that. What do you think? So people think she's promoting white supremacy or neo-Nazi symbols. Do you think she's doing that, or do you think she's just so excited about her sign?
Yeah, I think it's
I think she like didn't repeat that.
yeah, I think like
She just wants to
she
show her
found a
sign.
new artist. She probably hasn't found a new artist. And everything. She looked at the sign. She's like, oh.
But, I mean, what about today's society, right? How do people feel about certain things, right? They jump all over things
Yeah.
now, right? So, yeah. It's kind of like the
Oh,
whole
you
Bad
got-
Bunny thing too,
Sorry.
right? With the Super Bowl. Alright, guys. So, tomorrow, we'll go over the poem. Sorry the intro is a little dry and boring, but it always is when you're trying to build background.
Look at
Any
Look
questions?
at the
No?
Look at the
No? Alright, I'm gonna take your sticky.
If I was you, I'd run. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. Thank you.
Xavier run.
So what? Where's my money?
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, hon. Alright, I don't know when your class ends.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay.